Trump's failed attempt to bait judge in Jean Carroll trial and its implications. Andrew McCarthy, a longtime conservative political observer, says former President Donald Trump's attempt to bait Judge Lewis Kaplan in the Jean Carroll rape and defamation trial fell flat, despite the warning from the judge. Writing for the National Review, McCarthy noted that Trump and his lawyer, Joe Tacopina, have been warned by Judge Kaplan about attacks on the trial proceedings and Carroll with the threat of contempt of court charges. Despite the warning, Trump once again lashed out at Kaplan as extremely hostile to him and boasted that he would be returning from a Scotland golf expedition to confront Carroll before calling the Manhattan trial a disgrace. However, McCarthy suggests that Kaplan is too smart for Trump and didn't take the bait. Kaplan has been trying to move the trial to a conclusion. McCarthy noted that Kaplan has been trying to move the trial to a conclusion consistent with what he told the jury would be its length, and thus he gave Tacopina a deadline by which Trump was to announce his intentions. Tacopina duly told Kaplan that his client would not be testifying or even attending the trial. McCarthy wrote, "Kaplan is a smart guy. He knows that Trump is trying to bait him into a public dressing down, a contempt citation, and/or an order that it is too late for the defendant to change his mind about testifying, which Trump would then fold into his public relations effort to portray the trial as a travesty if the jury finds him liable." McCarthy added that Trump's outrage was performative. Judge tells Tacopina that he is aware of reports about Trump's statements. In response to Trump's comments, the judge told Tacopina late Thursday that he was aware of reports about Trump's statements, and the lawyer assured the court that he had spoken with his client before announcing that Trump would not testify, McCarthy wrote. Assuming that deadline passes, Kaplan will consider the evidentiary phase of the trial complete and proceed to summations, as scheduled. If Trump squawks after that, it will be clear that he's just trying to spin what has actually been his carefully considered decision not to attend or testify at the trial. Trump claims Kaplan is extremely hostile to him. Trump has claimed that Judge Kaplan is extremely hostile to him. In a statement to the press, Trump said, "I have been advised by many lawyers not to comment on the actions of Judge Kaplan, as he is extremely hostile to me. Nevertheless, I have had to speak out against his actions and those of his associates in the Southern District of New York, who have been conducting a witch hunt against me since the day I took office. They are driven by nothing more than a desire to destroy me and my family." Carroll's allegations against Trump. Jean Carroll is a former Elle magazine columnist who accused Trump of raping her in the mid-1990s in a dressing room at a Manhattan department store. Trump has denied the allegations, saying Carroll was totally lying to sell her new book. In response, Carroll filed a lawsuit against Trump, alleging defamation. She claims that Trump falsely accused her of lying, which resulted in death threats and harassment from his supporters. The trial has been ongoing, with Carroll's legal team arguing that Trump's comments about her amounted to defamation. Trump's legal team, meanwhile, has argued that his comments were protected by the First Amendment. The case is being closely watched, as it could have implications for future cases involving allegations of sexual assault and defamation. Conclusion. Jean Carroll trial. It appears that the judge is not taking the bait and is trying to move the trial to a conclusion consistent with what he told the jury would be its length. Trump's attacks on the trial proceedings and Carroll have been warned by Judge Kaplan with the threat of contempt of court charges. McCarthy, a longtime conservative political observer, suggests that Trump's outrage is performative and that if he squawks after the evidentiary phase of the trial is complete, it will be clear that he's just trying to spin what has actually been his carefully considered decision not to attend or testify at the trial. It remains to be seen how the trial will conclude and whether the jury will find Trump liable for defamation. This case is important as it involves allegations of sexual assault and defamation against a former president. It will set a precedent for how future cases involving allegations of sexual assault and defamation will be handled, and it has already sparked discussions about the power dynamics involved in cases of sexual assault and how they affect the outcome of trials. In conclusion, the Jean Carroll rape and defamation trial involving former President Donald Trump has been closely watched as it could have implications for future cases involving allegations of sexual assault and defamation. Despite Trump's attempts to bait Judge Kaplan, it appears that the judge is not taking the bait and is trying to move the trial to a conclusion consistent with what he told the jury would be its length. The case remains ongoing, and it remains to be seen how the trial will conclude and whether the jury will find Trump liable for defamation.